Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor, and today I'm joined here with my brother, and today we are going to do our December wrap-up and, you know, have fun with all that stuff. So, as promised, this is Nanook. He's really mad at me because I woke him up, and he is always tired, always. So yeah, so that's the thing. Say hi, Nooks. He said hi, you just can't hear it. And then, this is my brother's puppy, Sela, and they are siblings. This is Nanook, he is the boy, and Sela is obviously a girl. And he's so tired. So, he just wanted to say hi. He's like always tired, I don't know why.
Well, you did take him on a run.
I did take him on a run. We went for a little bit of a run, and he was sad at me for it. So, I'm going to put him back on my bed so they can be napping throughout this video. So they will be present. But yes.
Love you.
You are so mad at me. Okay. Alright, so I'll just show you what they look like right now. There they are. And he just stepped on her.
Dude, he's huge.
Yeah, he's gotten really big. What are you doing?
No!
Oh, he's... okay.
Good boy.
Nighty-night. So I completed 11 books in the month of December, and I'm currently reading one, which I might have completed by the time this video goes up, because I'm filming it a couple of days early. Today's the 29th.
I read 5 graphic novels / comic books, and I'm currently reading 1.
So in this video, we're just going to go quickly through them and tell you guys what we thought of them and all of that stuff. I'm retarded. I read one more book and I forgot to grab it. So the first book that I read in December is Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. This is the 4th book in the Inheritance cycle and the conclusion to the series. I've been reading this book series for a really long time. I read the first book when it first came out and I never kept reading them, and I don't really know why. I ended up reading the 3rd one a couple months ago, and then I decided to read the 4th one and just finish it out. I wasn't really that thrilled with the 3rd one. I thought it was pretty boring in the middle, and this one, it kind of had the same thing going on. It was a little boring in the middle, but the ending, I really enjoyed the ending, and I don't know, I just thought the series ended really well. I didn't think it needed this many pages to do it. I gave it 4 stars out of 5 stars, and I probably won't be rereading this series anytime soon. That sounded really negative, but I did like the book. The next book that I read is Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. This is the 4th book in the Death collection of the Discworld series. In this book, Death accidentally kills their version of Santa Claus, which is called the Hogfather, and so the book is all about the repercussions of that and everything that's happening. And you know, it's like during the Christmas time and everyone stops believing in the Hogfather and it's a big deal, and so it was actually a perfect read for December, and I didn't even plan it like that. I really, really like Terry Pratchett's writing. It's very satirical, it's very funny, it's kind of dry a little bit, but it's so, so funny, and I really enjoy reading these books. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I will definitely be continuing reading these books, and I like these editions a lot. They're the Galland's, I think that's what the publisher's called, Galland's ones. They're only like $10 or something like that, so very cheap, very affordable. They're nice hardcovers. I really like the covers. And yeah, I'm going to keep going. I think the next book that I will be reading is Equal Rights, which is about witches, and I'll be reading that series by him this coming year.
The first comic book / graphic novel that I read this month was Deadpool, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is about one of the new Marvel Now books, and I like this book. I rated this 5 out of 5 because I love, I guess, anything that I read. So basically what you learn in this graphic novel is just basically more about Deadpool. What his cancer was, a little bit more about his personal life, basically the same bad-mouthing Deadpool that we all love.
And here is an oh, that was nudie time. I didn't know you were reading stuff like this. I don't want to show that. And here is an example of the illustrations. They're really cool, really detailed. I'm just kidding. I'll show you a real one. So here is just an example of some of the illustrations that are inside of this thing. It that are inside of this comic book. Stop laughing. This is the third volume of this series, so I feel like Torin would definitely recommend it because he loves Deadpool and so do I, so really awesome, really cool. The next book that I read is the second book in the Fablehaven series, which is Rise of the Elgin. This book is about two siblings, Seth and Kendra. Torin is about to pee himself. This book is about Seth and Kendra, and they find out that their grandparents are the caretakers of a magical menagerie of fairy tale creatures and dark beings and such, and like demons and stuff. So they go back to the preserve, and they, have a new problem, and they have to solve, what's going on. This book introduces a few new characters, which I thought were really cool. I thought the characters were really well done. I thought they were a lot of fun. I really liked the new characters. Seth had a lot of growth, although not too much, because his job basically in the story is to mess up everything that happens and make everything a lot harder. So, he does that in this too, but he starts to learn a little bit more and starts to realize that he can't do that all the time. Yeah, I thought this book was a little bit better than the first book, so that was really nice. I gave this book a 4.5 stars out of 5 stars. The next book that I don't have I read was Anansi Boys by Neil Gaiman. This is my first Neil Gaiman book that I've ever read, and I absolutely loved it. This story follows the son of Anansi, who is a spider god, like an African god, and he's super embarrassed by his dad, and he doesn't know that his dad is Anansi until like a few pages in, and it turns out that he has a brother, and basically his brother ruins his life, and it's just all about that relationship and him coming to terms with the fact that his father is a deity, and like learning about that world that he's now a part of, and kind of learning about himself along the way. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny. I thought some of the parts were really funny. I really liked Spider and Anansi's humor. I thought it was really enjoyable, and I thought they just gave the main character a hard time like the entire time. It was really fun. And I gave this book a 4.5 stars out of 5 stars.
The next graphic novel I read was the third volume of Nova and the new Marvel Now series.
Which is called Nova Corps.
And basically this book is about how Nova is trying to figure out what he's trying to do with himself, with his powers. And he meets a guy named Bill. He basically has the same powers as Thor. And he finds this awesome dog that talks. And it's just really funny. And I rate this 5 out of 5. As I said, I rate everything 5 out of 5 because I love everything that I read.
So this is just an example of the illustrations that are in this book. They're pretty good. I like them a lot. There's really nice colors and stuff. I have not read this book though. The next book that I read is Curse of the Night Wolf by Paul Stewart and Chris Riddell. This is the first book in the Barnaby Grimes series. I have read the first 7 books in his Edge Chronicles series that Paul Stewart and Chris Riddell did together, and I've really enjoyed that series, so I decided to give this one a go when I saw the books on Book Outlet. This book follows Barnaby, who is a TikTok lad, and basically he's kind of like a courier and a delivery boy, but he has to be really smart and really, really fast to like do all this stuff. And he gets mixed up with these really like powerful, like really wealthy people within his city, and they are doing some not good things, some pretty evil things, and so he has to try to do his best to fix the problem and everything and set everything right. So I thought this book wasn't as good as the Edge Chronicles. It's a lot shorter, so there wasn't as much time and space to develop the world and develop the characters and everything. So I gave this book a 3.5 stars out of 5 stars. Why are you laughing so much? You are the worst. I'm going to kick you out of this video. The next book that I read in this month was Fuzzy Nation by John Scalzi. I loved this book. It was so funny. I feel like December was the month for funny reads for me because I've been reading a lot of really hilarious books. This book follows Jack Holloway, who is kind of an excavator, kind of like a pioneer. He goes on to planets that don't have any sentient life, and he finds resources, and the company that he is hired by, like the company that he is contracted by, kind of strips these planets from all of their natural resources. Well, on this planet, I forgot the name that they used, he finds these sunstones, which are like ridiculously expensive rocks that glow, and then all hell breaks loose when he meets these creatures that he decides to call the Fuzzies, and that is a picture of one right there. The Fuzzies are seriously the best ever. They are so funny. Like this picture kind of makes them look like Ewoks, but in the book they're kind of described as really big cats that walk on two legs. So they're so funny, and there's like one part where they're like taunting a human, and they're like rubbing their butt on some glass, and it was just so funny. I just loved the Fuzzies so much. This book is so funny, and I really liked John Scalzi's writing. I thought it was really easy to read. I thought it was really easy to get into. The world building was really nice. I definitely understood everything in the hierarchy of where everyone was standing. This book has really funny parts, as I've described, but it also has some really sad parts, which I'm not going to tell you because that would be spoiling things. I really loved this book, and I'll definitely be picking up more John Scalzi in the future. I've already bought one of his books, and I'll show you that in a future haul when it arrives. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, I loved it. Highly recommend this book. So the next book that my brother read this month was a manga. It's called Dragon Ball Full Color. It is by Akira Toriyama.
So this book was basically a novelization of the TV show. I rated this 4.5 out of 5 stars because you basically could watch the show and completely not read the books. That's kind of my problem with this book. But everything else, the art was good, there was enough action.
How was the pacing? Like, was it easy to get through?
Yes, it was very easy to get through. I think it's really cool that the manga books are completely backwards to real books.
I mean, that's how it is in Japan. They read from right to left. Or, like, they go backwards, I guess. For us, backwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he really enjoyed it. He just bought the second book, so he will be getting to that soon. This is just one of the pages. The next book that I read in December is The Alloy of Law. This is the 4th book in the Mistborn series, and it is kind of the prequel to a secondary trilogy within the Mistborn world. This book is set 300 years in the future after the events of the Hero of Ages, and I really liked it. The main characters of this book is Wax, or Waxilius, or something like that, and his friend Wayne, and they get taken from like this Wild West kind of situation, and then they have to go into a city and act civilized, and they just like have a really hard time with doing that. Wax is expected to be the leader of his household, and he has to act accordingly, and he has to like maybe get married, and so he's having to deal with that. And Wayne is just there to throw a monkey wrench in all of Wax's plans, and just give him a really hard time. And the relationship between Wax and Wayne were seriously the best. Like, I loved reading them banter back and forth. It was definitely like they were siblings, like straight up. Even though they weren't actually siblings, it was like such a sibling relationship. It was really enjoyable to read. I didn't think these books were as amazing as the Mistborn trilogy, but that's just because they're a lot shorter, and this was kind of like a setup novel. It was still really, really good. I think I gave it a 4.5. I think I gave it a 4.5 stars out of 5 stars, maybe a 5 stars. I'm not really sure. Probably 5 stars. It's Brandon Sanderson. Let's be real. I gave him 5 stars. So I really enjoyed this book. If you have not checked out the Mistborn trilogy, what are you doing with your life? That book series is amazing. So the next book that I read is The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick. This is a different kind of novel. It has a lot of illustrations in it, and so it's told mainly through illustrations and short areas of words and such. So, like, here is one of the illustrations, and then it'll randomly have just like some pages with some text on it. This book follows a boy who is working in a train station and making sure all the clocks in the train station keep functioning, and he is doing it all by himself. He's only, 10 or something? 11? Maybe he's 13. I don't know. But he's having a really hard time, and he's trying to live his life. And this book, I read it. It was really fast-paced because it's mainly pictures, but I wasn't really sure how I was feeling about it, and then I ended up loving it because the ending is fantastic. I just loved it. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I definitely will be checking out the other book that he's written. I think it's called, like, Thunder something, or Lightning something. I don't know. It has lightning on the cover, and the spine has a girl instead of a boy face.
So the next graphic novel or comic book that I read was New Heroes, The Kids Are All Fight. And this is in the new Marvel Now series. And I loved this book. This book has Nova and this new Spider-Man called Scarlet Spider. I love Mark, Nova, and Scarlet Spider. Those are the best characters in this book. The funniest. Basically, their main problem is trying to work as a team and trying to get them to be an actual team to establish that, because the Avengers do not think that this is a good idea for the new Warriors to be, again, the Warriors to be back. So, yeah. And there's this new guy, his name's Mark. I think he has the best powers. He can absorb energy, and then once he absorbs enough energy, he can turn into this giant monster.
It's like a rhinoceros-looking thing.
Yeah, let me show you. So basically, it's this thing right there. So, yeah.
Would you rate it?
What?
Would you rate it?
Oh, I rated it 5 out of 5 because it was really funny, good action, and yeah, it's good.
The next book that I read is the 6th volume in the Amulet series by Kabuishi. I still can't say that name. And it's called Escape from Lucian. This series follows two siblings, Emily and Naven. And Naven is just kind of like an ordinary boy. And Emily finds this amulet that gives her special powers, and she can basically do magic and such. And she finds this world, this fantasy world that has tons of problems, and their mom gets kidnapped in the first book, and that's kind of the main problem of that one. And so it's really fun, really fast-paced. Each book kind of has its own problem, and it kind of gets resolved, so then they just kind of keep going. So the artwork looks like this. I really enjoy these books, and I will be continuing along with the series when the 7th one comes out. The next book that I read this month is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. This book is basically about this country that used to have this main city that was called Elantris, and basically all the people that lived in the city were gods. They could change objects into other objects, like garbage into gold, dirt into crops and food, and they could fuel an entire economy in an entire country, and they were doing so until this event called the Riode happened, and they lost all their powers, and they turned into these leper kind of people, and everyone was scared of them, and they were just sickly, and if they get hurt, their pain lasts forever. They never get rid of it, and their wounds never heal. So they're basically living in torturous environments. 10 years pass, and the prince of the nation, he's living in Kai because that's the new capital. He wakes up one day and finds out that he has turned into an Elantrian, because anyone could turn into an Elantrian at any time. And so his dad, the king, fakes his death and sends him to Elantris, and he is basically just forsaken, and he's gone forever. His fiancée shows up in Kai and is like, what the heck, what's going on? And so she's kind of very suspicious about the entire situation, and so she starts kind of digging into stuff, and she's very political, she's very, she's kind of manly, she doesn't really have too many feminine characteristics. Throughout the entire book, people keep talking about how tall she is, and she kind of has a low self-esteem when it comes to her physical appearance. But I really enjoyed this book. It's very politically driven. It's not nearly as focused on the magic systems, how they are in the Mistborn books and in the Stormlight archives. And I mean, I'm guessing Warbreaker is pretty focused on the magic. But I still really enjoyed this book. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It was a little weaker 5 out of 5 stars than Mistborn books and the Stormlight Archive, but still 5 out of 5. Still fantastic. Brandon Sanderson.
The next book I read was Ultimate Comic Spider-Man. So basically, the original Spider-Man dies, and this new guy called Miles Morales becomes this new Spider-Man. This is volume 2, if you're wondering. In the first volume, the original Spider-Man dies. Miles Morales gets bitten by a spider and gets these new powers, basically like Spider-Man's, but one new one that kind of is like Venom's. So this one...
If you kick my camera, you demon.
She moved it.
What a turd.
So this book is about Miles trying to know what his limits are and him trying to train himself. And then his bad uncle comes in and completely
Ruins
everything, basically. He pushes Miles against his own morals. Get it? Miles Morales. His uncle basically is a bad guy. He kills, he steals, he even got arrested in Mexico in this thing. This was really funny, action, and I rated this 5 out of 5, obviously, because I love every book I read.
And here is some of the artwork. Looks like that. It's cool. The next book that I read is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This is the first book in the Harry Potter series. Obviously, I decided that I want to reread this series, and I also want to collect these covers, and so I'm going to read the first book. Well, I'm going to buy the first book, then read it, and then I'm going to buy the second book and then read it, and so then I will collect all of these covers. I really enjoy them. I think it's really fun. It was really cool to reread this series because I haven't read it in a really long time, and I forgot how many differences there are between the movie portrayals of characters and the characters in the books. Like, I totally forgot, like appearance differences, like how Seamus is supposed to be blonde, and how Dudley is supposed to be blonde, like, just like little things like that. It was fun to reread them, and so it was really fun. I really like this series, and I'm going to continue reading them in 2015, and just get them all, like Pokemon. I'm going to collect them all. Gotta catch them all. Oh, obviously I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I love Harry Potter. I really had a good reading month. I really liked all the books that I read. The next book that I read is Eyes to See by Joseph Nassis? Nassis? I don't know. There's a lot of S's in his name. This book is about a character named Jeremiah Hunt, and 5 years ago, his daughter was kidnapped right from under his nose while he was at home, and his life after that goes to complete shit. Just everything goes wrong in his life. His wife ends up leaving him. He loses his job. His house, is gone. He doesn't live there anymore, or maybe he does. I wasn't really sure about that. But his life is terrible, and he has basically dedicated his entire life to finding out where his daughter is and what has happened to her. In the book, you find out that he has given up his eyesight to be able to see ghosts or, like, spirits and be able to see, like, the supernatural, basically. This book is told in 2 time periods, so it's told 5 years in the past and then today, like current time. And so it kind of gives you 2 stories as you go along. I thought it was really fun. It gave you a lot of background information without being really boring. And I really like Jeremiah Hunt. He's just like a really cranky old man kind of guy, and he just is so cantankerous and just like, I don't know. You don't really like him because he's not very nice, but you do because he's awesome. So I like the book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, or maybe a 3.75 out of 5 stars. And I will be continuing along with this series. I thought it was really fun, and I really liked reading about the magic system. I thought it was really cool, and I definitely think in the later books it will be expanded more, and I'm interested to read about that. And so those are the books that we completed in December, but it's only December 29th, and we're both currently reading a book, so we're going to show you the book that we are currently reading and kind of give you a little bit of how we feel about it now. And yeah, I'll probably finish my book before January.
Not me. Okay, so the book I'm currently reading is The Hobbit by J.R. Tolkien and adapted by Charles Dickens. And it's basically The Hobbit.
It's just like a little different medium, because like Torin doesn't really like to read books like just novels and such, and so he would rather read stuff in graphic novel form, and so this is like perfect for him and people that don't really like to read that much, because it's just mainly pictures and you just get dialogue. Like, if you're really one of those readers that really likes dialogue a lot instead of reading like exposition and descriptions and stuff, that's a good one. The book that I'm currently reading is Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the Alcatraz series. I think it's hilarious. I know that Sarah and Sana have described that it might not be for everyone because some people just don't get Brandon Sanderson's humor, and I definitely do get his humor because I love this book. It's so funny. Like, it kind of just makes fun of the whole like superhero like fantasy genre, but at the same time being a part of that genre. In this book, the characters have powers that kind of suck. Like, Alcatraz's power is to break things, and his grandfather's power is to be late to things. But the real cool part of this book is how they use those really sucky powers. Like, his grandfather can be late to bullets, so he can't be hit by a bullet if he doesn't really want to be, and he can arrive late to, anything. Like, he arrives late to Alcatraz's birthday by, like, a whole day. So it's really funny. I really love the fact that Brandon Sanderson is using other fantasy author names as like curses. He'll be like Grumbling Gaimons or something like that. Like really well known authors. He's used Robin Hobb so far. He's used Garth Nix and a couple other people that I can't really remember right now, but it's so funny. I just love this book so far. I am currently like 120 pages in. Yeah, I'm 120 pages in, and I'm just thinking it's hilarious. I'm definitely going to continue along when I'm finished with it. So those are all the books that we read in December. Sorry this video is going to be really long. Hey, Nix. Yeah, the puppies woke up, so we should probably take them out and go to the bathroom. But if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and we will see you in our next video, or I will see you in my next video. Bye!